Okay, so I'm sorry I was running a little late here. 7:01. So a little bit late, but not terribly so. This is Tuesday night, the 22nd of November. We're here at the Management 311 Fundamentals of Management course. This is your week 5. Wow. No, week 6, right? Yeah, week 6. Okay. So a bit of things to talk about. Up front, um, really good job, everybody, last week on your homework. Only a couple of you had issues getting it in on time, but we're working through that, and I appreciate you working through it. The best part is everybody did the right case. It did do extra work, and I appreciate that. So I think we kind of hit our stride finally. This week, let's go through it. Hopefully you can see my screen. I'm in Moodle, showing you week 6, 21 November through this Sunday, 27th. If I don't say it, happy Thanksgiving. Hope you get a chance to take a little bit of a break on Thursday. Your online forum, chapters 11 and 12. So that works pretty good. Sorry, I thought I had somebody coming up the steps. The questions: how can leaders manage the diverse workforce? How can leaders attract, not attack? Okay, Freudian slip there. Attract and train employees for the workplace. Chapter 12 discusses sources of power and explain leader behaviors and explain different approaches. Good. So chapters 11 and 12, good questions here. As always, post your initial response before 11:59, 23:59 military time, minute before midnight tomorrow, Wednesday, 23 November. And then you're, as always, comment on at least 2 other students by Friday. Okay. Homework case study. You've got 2. You've got the experiential exercise 12.1, using the 5 sources of power at work, page 376, and do the concluding case of Bright Star and Diamond LLC, Limited Liability Corporation, right? Page 377. So looks like we've got exercise and the case both out of chapter 12, just by the page numbers. And have that done by Saturday night. And you have a quiz. Your week 6 quiz covers chapters 9 through 12. It'll open on Wednesday at noon. You have until Sunday, 23:59, 11:59 p.m. Eastern to get it done. 1 hour. You've got over 30 questions. I think there's 34 on this one. And then, of course, here are your PowerPoint slides for chapters 11 and 12. Okay. Hopefully no questions on that. I hope you all are finding where I've been putting the feedback. As an example, we go into week 5. In the discussion forum, I think you're seeing it. You'll see me pop up there on probably Thursday of each. And when you do that, you will see that I offer you some things to consider and take to heart and answer if you see a direct question. If you see a question just to consider, then take it for what it's worth. See if you agree with what I have to provide for you. But that's where you'll find your feedback on the discussion forum. I think many of you have already seen that. As far as feedback goes on your homework, again, you go into Moodle and you get open up your link to the homework case or do anything in opening up your work. But if you go over to grade, I hope you have maybe something like that. And what you'll find is, Melissa, good to see you. Hope you are well. Oh, okay. Oh, okay. And you'll find a series of icons, and you'll find that icon looks like a notepad of paper with a pencil on it, and that's feedback summary. You'll see text comment. For a while, I was doing it voice. You would have heard a recording. That's convenient for me, but not so good for you. I think it better that you can read what I write. Yeah, but anyway, you'll find I summarize the case, give you the major topics, the key points, if you will, of what we were trying to get at with the case. Okay, so when I asked, how do you assess the company's adaptability to challenges? The first thing would have been to figure out what their core capabilities were. Remember, the knowledge, expertise, or skill that the company has that gives them that competitive advantage. So you would have gone through. Now, some of you did a SWOT analysis. That's perfectly fine. That would have worked. That's a little bit more than what you had to do. The key on it was just find what their core competencies were. And then you can take from that and answer their question. Okay. And then what else can they do to address needs? There was a number of things, but the big thing here was adaptability, right? Chapter portion out of your book, what we used to call, or still I do, call learning organization, one that transfers knowledge into modifying behavior. Okay, and so some of that is identifying shifts, engaging the experts, adapting skill, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then we finally get into that last piece, which were, if you were an employee, would you be appreciative of the hybrid? Why or why not? That was a little bit open-ended for you to kind of explore it as you see fit. Most of you said you probably would. Some of you said you wouldn't. I wasn't too concerned about a yes or no on that, as long as you could defend your answer. Okay. And then of course, your grade is also part of your feedback, of course. All right. So that's where you find that. Let me come back. Zoom screen is in the way. Okay. So Melissa, we got cut off last time. My fault. Before I cover some things about the final paper, is there anything that you want to talk about or need to bend my ear about?
No, I mean, I guess I'll just see what you have to say about the paper, because I've been starting to, kind of work on that now. So
Great.
that'll be helpful.
No time like the present. Okay.
Right.
So I sent out in the announcements on the final paper, and you already know this, going to speak to kind of the class as a whole if they were here, is you would have found an announcement that I did on 10 November, Marine Corps birthday. So more guidance for that final paper. That's still out there. You can click on that. You'll find topics. Again, remember your topics, very much like the chapters in your text, and go from there. What do I mean by go from there? Well, best on week 8, and then you'll find research paper. This is where you'll upload your paper. Tells you the purpose of the paper, gives you some background information, tells you what I'm looking for on a cover sheet, margins, the normal APA. Again, I don't grade the words, but to give you kind of a feel for about how much work you should be putting into this. If you could do it in less than 500 words and make your points, more power to you. I don't think you can, but I will certainly grade it if you do. If it takes you 5,000 words, that's fine too, except obviously I have to read all that. So please make it worthwhile. Okay, and then you'll see things like this pop up on people's Moodle from time to time. Okay, all of these are assessment assignments. They have to be uploaded into the Moodle shell for me to grade. University Mount Olive policy is I don't get to grade things that are not local. That's 2 reasons. One, it makes sure there's no issues as to what is being graded. You have uploaded and acknowledged that. It becomes part of the database for Moodle. which then allows when University of Mount Olive comes under their periodic inspections or recertifications, if you will, by the authorities. And what I mean by that is those organizations that accredit the School of Business. That's what part of your money goes to pay, is how what kind of reputation the school has, and that's based on accreditation in large measure. And they'll go in and they'll see, A, what kind of work you did, and then B, they'll see what kind of grade I gave. So there's a little bit of double protections in there. You were great, you were guarded against, or you were protected against an instructor who grades too tough or, by argument, too easy. And it allows people to see what you've done in accordance with meeting the requirements. I cannot upload a file for you. You have to do that. So for those that like to email me the file, I can't do anything with it. I appreciate that, but the biggest thing on it is let's get it uploaded to Moodle. There's a few of you that are doing that with me, and I think most of you already understand that.
Yeah.
Okay, the paper rubric I will put out in a little bit. I just switched my screen to the rubric. It's a little dated on this example, but it will still hold true. There won't be any major revisions to it. Hold on here. I'm going to have a dog barking because I got somebody coming up to the front door. So the Cocker Spaniel is protecting me.
Yeah, of course.
So if you could see the screen, the paper is worth 25 points, 1/4 of your final grade, and it is made up of content, organization and structure, and style and grammar. Again, I'm not an English major, but I am going to look at your ability to handle originality, what the tone you use in the paper, what type of rhetoric do you use? By that, I mean, do you make convincing arguments? Do you use fallacies of logic like ad hominem attacks? Do you use a lot of jargon? Okay. Again, you should be writing at a level of a professional. Sorry, that was delivery. All right, we got you. Thank you. Crazy. Yeah, get that last word in. So, organization and structure. Did you use a thesis statement, what we call a position statement? How was your support? In other words, did you support your argument? Did you use connections and timelines? I'm sorry, transitions, syntax, and construction. Okay, and those each are worth about 5 points. Again, I'm not an English major, but if I have excessive spelling errors or lack of grammar or things that are really obvious, then that's where you'll take a hit. All right. Then what I need to do is have you answer a few questions. Okay. Do the history of the subject matter. Talk about the concept, how it's evolved since its inception. What are some of the guiding principles or theories? Okay. You don't have to do all of them, but give me a little bit. What's the value of this concept or practice? In other words, if you're writing about communication, what's the value of communication? I mean, pretty obvious, but just make a few words on that. Strengths and weaknesses in the use of the concept, how the subject matter can be utilized in companies today, and then how might one utilize the concept or practice in the workplace today or in the future. Okay. So these are open-ended, okay? I'm not asking you to explain history of the world, but what I want you to do is, present that concept, that theory, that principle, and write a paper on it, okay? Don't forget to include an introduction and a conclusion paragraph, okay? Introduce your paper, and then I would recommend make each of these 7 a paragraph header, right? And then write your paragraph underneath that on as you're responding. Okay, this is not a scavenger hunt. Okay, you're not going to go find most of these all spelled out for you in your textbook. Although, if your textbook isn't one of your references, you're missing A, the point of the exercise, but B, you will find much of this in your textbook already. Okay. And then the rest of that is your ability to go out and find some other research on it. So pretty, not, I wouldn't say this is daunting. It may seem that way. In your words, Melissa, or others, I will say, don't overthink it. Just straightforward. Again, I'm not giving you direction to write a 30-page paper. So obviously you're going to have to distill that issue into its pertinent parts, and then be efficient in how you address it. Okay, but this is you. Okay, so you're presenting your research. So it's good to see what somebody has to say about the history of the subject. You can reference that. But when you start getting into things like what are the strengths and weaknesses, or what are some of the guiding principles, or what's the value, this starts becoming your ability to present what you found out and what you have to say about it. So yeah, that's about the size of it.
Okay.
So good it's a good exercise, I think. And I think most of you know how to write a paper. You know generally what I'm looking for. Again, what I want is to use the research you found, make sure you properly cite, and of course the APA, and then go from there. All right.
Sounds good.
I'll put the rubric out here and basically probably Thursday. Yeah, probably Thursday when I respond to the discussion forum.
And then
And
when we do
about it.
pick our topic, now, do you want to know what topic we pick, or if it's just you need to know what topic we pick if we don't pick something that's on that sheet you had?
Yeah, I would appreciate the courtesy of knowing what you pick. That maybe prevents maybe that'll prevent or help prevent an issue down the road. It's unusual, but there are occasions where I'll have somebody not quite understand what the assignment is, and pick something that isn't appropriate to what we're talking about. That's That's a rarity, but it does happen. So, yeah, if you want to say, for example, in the discussion forum on Wednesday, just put an aside. Hey, here are my responses. And oh, by the way, I'd like to write about this topic for the final paper. That's perfectly fine. If you want to drop me a quick email, that's fine. Calling me up at 3 o'clock in the morning to inform me you want to write about communication, I will take the call, but I probably won't be as excited about that as you are. I'm just kidding. So yeah, and part of that too is there are some topics that could get a little overwhelming for the purpose of the paper. If somebody was telling me they were going to write about management, well, that's pretty broad for the purpose of the paper. I mean, the history of management, that would be a little tough. We would have to kind of we would need to spiral in on a particular aspect of management, maybe. Okay, or hey, let's talk about management in the framework of contingency leadership, or managing teams, or something along those lines. Maybe, I guess, kind of talking out the here stream of consciousness. But there, if you've picked something off that list, or a chapter title out of the textbook, generally you're going to be in good shape. I think there's not going to be any issues there. But I don't I don't want this to be a write the history of the world and be brief. In other
Mm.
words, let's in some cases we may need to tailor down the topic. Um, Ethics kind of becomes a maybe an example of one. Okay, ethics is a pretty broad area, and so where would we place that? Whose ethics? In a lot of cases, when we're talking about things of that nature, we start talking about people. So we're talking about protagonists in certain aspects. An example might be, um, oh, I just dropped her name. She just got convicted. Former CEO of Theranos, the company that supposedly had developed a blood test that could screen all issues with a very small drop of blood, which
Oh, yeah.
changes the dynamics huge instead of taking vials. Doggone it, I just lost her name. Anyway, um, so it wound up being a huge case of fraud and had a huge ripple effect. Obviously, there was billions of dollars in capital that were lost on this. Even Walgreens had a huge contract with it. But so ethical behavior in that regard, and and she had some statements to make that were unique in her defense. But would we have tolerated those as a in a study of ethical behavior? So anyway,
Mm.
there's some fascinating things out there. So uh, having a paper written about just a singular person and their failures isn't quite what this paper is about. This paper is more about you telling me a concept of principle, a theory that relates, and then doing some. Uh, I don't care if Microsoft 365 is expiring, and and we'll go from there.
Okay.
Based on what you have done, Melissa, I think you know what you're doing. You capture the essence, and you've done very well. You haven't missed the mark. So don't worry about this too much. Just approach it as you normally do.
Worry's my middle name.
Well, we keep going back to leadership 300. Then it's fear, false evidence appearing real, right?
Yeah.
Anxiety does nothing for you, but I understand. I've been there, and I know where you're at. In fact, it wasn't too long ago, but
Hmm.
that sometimes helps. Okay, a little nervousness gets you in the game and get you hyped up. Um, and just as long as you're
Hmm.
not doing your best work the night before, it's
Hmm.
good. Get after it and then resolve it. Unfortunately, this isn't other courses or high school. I can't look at your paper even in draft form. Obviously, if I grade it, I can only grade it once. So I will tell you when you turn your papers in that I read each paper 3 times. I do a first read just to get a feel for how we've done on overall addressing the topic and making sure that you've answered the issues or provided the paragraph headings that I wanted to see. The second time I read through, I go in depth on it. I look at the weight of your arguments, how well you've transitioned. It's usually where I'll start finding our grammar and punctuation mistakes. And then third reading is after I've read everybody's paper a couple times, I go back in and then I grade. I don't grade on a curve, but there's times where I'll read a paper and I may not have been in as good a mood as I should have been, and I grade it tougher than I did paper I read a few hours later or days later. So kind of gives me a chance to see across the board how I've done and what I think is equitable. So you're putting time into writing this, you can be assured that somebody is reading. So, and then again, remember on the issue of proper citation, yes, it's a research paper, but it can't be all just your citing other people's work. There's got to be you in here too. So, if you've got a paper that runs up, well over 60 or 65% similarity on the turn it in scale, you may need to go back and rethink a little bit of that. Certainly, if you're up around 90%, that's way too much. Conversely, if there's 0%, if you're not using any direct lifts in this research paper, you're missing the mark. You need to go back and provide some evidence of what your research found. Okay, that could be a definition. That could be hey, our text tells us this. That might help you a little bit on history of the concept or things of that nature. Okay,
Right.
fair enough.
Yes.
All right. Well, unless you've got anything, I'm going to need to end this so that I can get after something else. But I wish everybody the best of luck, and I think you dialed in after I paid everybody a compliment this week. Everybody did the correct case study and did a good job, so I appreciated that. And just keep charging.
Sounds good.
Oh, and happy Thanksgiving.
Yes. Happy Thanksgiving.
Yeah, take some time.
Yes.
Enjoy the day. I plan to, but at some point I'll start kicking back into normal week mode because Friday's a work day.
Right.
You have people coming over, or are you going to go somewhere?
No, we're staying home. My
Excellent.
sister might come over, but later on. But yeah, it'll be quiet.
That's marvelous. Yeah,
which is fine by me.
I hear you on that. I used to travel all the time. Obviously, being in the military, we would get on the road more often than not, and I've gotten to the point now where I just like sticking around the house. But we'll shoot up to New Bern to spend it with some friends.
Oh,
but,
nice.
Yeah, that's kind of the traditions now. So we've done that the last couple of years. So we didn't for COVID. So it's good to get back into the norm.
I know.
Plus, she's a good cook, so
that's a perk. Well, that'll
I
be
think
nice.
I think we had McDonald's one year for Thanksgiving dinner. Yeah, it was a unique year, but so we've kind of gone, and I'm certain I've had some MREs for one, but maybe
God.
one. But anyway,
well, I hope you enjoy yours.
thank you very much. Yeah, let me go ahead and end this then, and
Okay.
thanks for dialing in, and again, yeah, I'll send out that rubric in a couple days. You'll
Okay.
see those questions there on Moodle.
Yep.
And
so as long as we answer at least a few of those you said in the paper.
I'm going to ask you to do them all. It's those 8.
Okay.
At least address. Now I'm also cognizant that I don't expect you to. Again, I know this is not a 300-page paper. Okay, so if you're wave topping the history, that's perfectly legitimate. Okay. If you're telling me, hey, this concept is fairly new, which some of them are, some of the management principles we're covering, particularly as it gets into motivation, are models that have more recently been developed than ancient history. Obviously, we're focusing in on the U.S., so I don't need to know the history of diversity in Western Europe or in the Orient.
Right.
And then it comes into what can you tell me that is accurate and, is an answer that is acceptable? Okay. Um, if it's a statement like, well, the history of this subject is very expansive and it covers thousands of years. So suffice it to say, it's a well-established principle. Okay, we need to do a little bit more than that. Okay,
Mhm.
we don't just. It's like there was a question we had on one of the questions on the might have been the forum discussion, might have been a previous homework. I can't recall now, but it asked, do you agree or disagree? Um, or do you think, did you think what they did was good or bad? And a few would just hedge it and just say, well, I can't say if I agree or disagree, or I just don't really know if they did or did. Well, okay, that doesn't work. Okay. In other
Right,
words, you need to take a stand. Take a
right,
stand and then tell me why.
right,
Otherwise, it just becomes you kind of blew off the question, so to speak.
right.
I think you understand what I'm getting at.
Yes. Okay.
Okay. All
Sounds
right.
good.
Well, you have a good
Oh,
night.
all right. You too. Thank you.